I'm Casey, and I am here with certified financial planner Joshua Barbin, JB of Abish Financial Services, and he is here to bring you his expertise to help you plan for your financial future. You can get your retirement conversation started at theretirementkey.com, or all the info you need is posted conveniently in our show notes. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you never miss a video. Just search The Retirement Key on YouTube, and you can find us right there. JB, how are you doing today? How are things up in DC?
Actually, beautiful, Casey. I mean, weather's still great. Late November, still holding out. We're getting close to Thanksgiving. A lot of things.
Best time of the year.
It's great up here.
Awesome. I love to hear it. Well, I want to pick your brain today, JB, about retiring, specifically from the federal government. But before we get into that, I want listeners to get to know you a little bit. And so I want you to tell us a little about your background and how you decided to pursue a career in financial planning in the first place.
I think my dad took me to Kiss the Blarney Stone when I was 9 years old. He took me and my little brother. So, I just say that jokingly, but I really enjoy having meaningful conversations, just like this one we're going to have today. It's something I get to do every day, is get to talk to people. And when you talk about money, most people don't like talking about money. It's one of those topics you'd prefer not to talk about most of the time.
For sure.
If you do end up talking about it in a safe and comfortable environment, then it usually ends up to be meaningful because, you need to get the most out of it. So get a chance to talk and have meaningful conversations with people about what they really want out of their life. Your money's always deeply connected with your goals, dreams, hopes, and fears. And so helping people navigate tough situations. My dad was an attorney. He had 3 brothers and a sister. They all were attorneys.
Wow.
Yep. His 2 uncles on his mom's side, attorneys, and his grandfather as well. So he knew
Family biz.
That's right. So I think I went in the wrong business. No, just kidding.
Adjacent.
That's what I always say. I said I have a knack for counseling. And
awesome.
I really enjoy helping people to navigate tough choices. Doesn't mean it has to be bad. It can be 2 great choices, but it still is. When it comes to money, it can be tough choices, and I like helping people with that.
All right. Well, I love that. I always love to hear people's why, so I love that. But let's get into it. The federal government. It is one of the biggest employers in the country. There are over 2 million federal workers in the U.S. And now I know retiring from the federal government, it's a little different. So tell me about the system that's in place there, how it works, and how a federal worker prepares differently for retirement than a non-government worker.
Yeah, the biggest thing, when you're a federal retiree, you're basically going to have 3 pieces of your retirement plan, which the first piece is going to be the basic benefit. That's your first pension. Some people have what's called the CSRS pension, a little bit older if they retired or they joined the federal workforce a little bit more early. I think 1982 was the cutoff year. But some people that we work with actually have those CSRS pensions still. Most of the people we work with would have a FERS pension, and that's kind of the core and first piece of a federal retirement plan. Now, not everybody's going to be eligible for that FERS pension, but if you work a certain amount of years, then you're going to be eligible for that benefit. And that's a rock solid benefit. It's pretty similar to Social Security. That would be the second piece of your retirement plan from the federal government. It's going to be Social Security. And we all get Social Security as long as we work a certain amount of years in America. But it interacts a little bit differently for a federal employee, a federal retiree. So that's going to be the second pillar. And then the third pillar is going to be the TSP, especially for those people who are on the FERS system. The TSP is going to usually be a big part of their plan.
Okay, well, now I've heard that the TSP might not be the best option for retirees. So can you tell me a little bit more about that and why?
Yeah, so the TSP, we like to call it a phase 1 accumulation tool here at Abish. So as you guys, listeners know, those who listen to Abe often will know about the difference between phase 1 and phase 2. When we talk about the TSP, it's a really great phase 1 tool, meaning the fees are low. It's a really nice way to earn money. You can invest in different indexes in there or use the life cycle funds, and it's a great way to accumulate wealth. When you get to approaching or at your retirement, it starts to become inconvenient. It has some really nuanced rules that even other 401k plans don't have that start to become disadvantageous in some ways for a retiree. So let's just deal with a couple of those really quickly. Number one is going to be the pro rata rule. Now, when you're a TSP investor, they make it so easy for you. Basically got 5 letters that you get to choose from: G, F, I, C, and S. Those are your letters, and you can make an alphabet soup, or you can just choose an L. You can choose an L, and basically they'll choose the alphabet soup for you. So, like I said, this is a really nice accumulation tool. They make it super easy. The funds usually perform pretty well on the upside, and so that's great. Now let's talk about one downside: the pro rata rule. Once you get to retirement, let's say you were one of those L people. You just said, you know what, I want to set it and forget it, let the TSP do the work for me, and that's fine. Let's say you get to retirement. One of the things we like to do at Abish is to kind of split out our buckets between safety and growth. With the TSP, you really don't have that option because of this thing called the pro rata distribution rule. And what it means is that if you're going to take a distribution from the TSP, you've got to take it across your full alphabet soup. You can't just say, hey, I want to take it from my G because the market's down. I just want to take a distribution from my G fund this year. No. You have to take it all across a fund. So you're going to take a 10% distribution. It's going to be 10% from C's, 10% from I's, 10% from G. And that's actually a pretty negative thing about the TSP, because if the market is down 20% and you wanted to take a distribution, well, you've got to eat that 20% loss, where you could have just taken a distribution from your fixed side that wasn't down at all. So there's the pro rata rule, one of the biggest downsides on TSP distribution planning. There's others as well.
Okay. So talking a little bit more about that distribution, I know there are different levels of benefit that can be taken from FERS depending on your earnings. So can we talk about the earnings test and how it's applied to federal retirees?
Yeah, the earnings test, like Social Security, it'd probably make more sense if I bring it to Social Security first. So like Social Security, everybody kind of knows that if you're 62 and you file your benefits, that's your minimum retirement age for Social Security. It's 62. If you file for Social Security when you're 62, that's fine. But if you're still working, your benefits are going to be reduced by the amount that you're earning. And you can't earn more than about $22,000. Otherwise, Social Security is going to start reducing your benefit. It's kind of backwards, but you can't earn money while you're receiving Social Security benefits. Now, you get those back later on, but it's just kind of inconvenient to lose those benefits. The FERS earning test works very similar to that, where if you file for your benefits early and you're still earning income, you can actually have reduced benefits from your FERS pension annuity if you file early and keep working. So that's
okay. Now let me ask you this: since we're talking about Social Security, is there any buzz or worry like there is around Social Security that FERS could possibly be eliminated one day?
No, I think that FERS is going to be, maybe FERS can be changed. First of all, this is a good example. The CSRS system was the system that was in place. I call it Caesars. I don't know if that's industry standard, but I call it Caesars, but like a Caesar salad or something. But that pension was much better than the FERS pension. It had a higher percentage of your high three that was paid. I don't even think they used the high three on Caesars, but it's a higher payout. Basically, they dialed it back with FERS. And the reason is because pensions are sometimes hard to manage. Basically, with a pension, you're promising a payment. And so you need the investment side, you need to make a certain rate of return to meet the outflows. That's why they added the TSP when they introduced the FERS system. They basically said, investor, you're now responsible for the investment side of it rather than the government having to make that rate of return. They said, we'll match you on your TSP and good luck. And, that's great. The TSP can be really effective if you use it correctly. One thing that I've seen on the TSP side is that a lot of people make decisions in the TSP, like we talked about that alphabet soup. There'll be C investors, which is pretty much as aggressive as you can get in the TSP. But then when they start getting worried, like before the election, a lot of people felt this way, they would dial it back and put it all in G. And a lot of times, unfortunately, they don't have a discipline in how they do that. Everybody knows they don't want to take the market down 50%. They just, inside, especially as they approach retirement, they do not want to ride that thing down 50%. But at the same time, they don't have a discipline on how they dial from C to G in this case. And a lot of times they end up holding the bag, making a bad decision, holding on too long in the G fund. And that's part of one of the big downsides of using the TSP in retirement is making those adjustments and doing it in a way that's pretty undisciplined.
Okay. A lot of moving parts there. Okay, real quick, I want to ask you, what about federal health insurance when it comes to retirees?
Yeah, federal health insurance is pretty great. You do have to be enrolled in it for the 5 years leading up to your retirement. So just keep that in mind. It's called a 5-year rule. And basically, if you are enrolled in that system for the 5 years leading up to your retirement, then you're going to have access to beneficial federal healthcare programs, which include Part D coverage. It includes international coverage. You're not limited to HMO and PPO networks that are really local. Your coverage is going to be national coverage. So there's some real benefits to that FEHB federal healthcare system that other people who retire from other workforces just don't have.
Awesome. All right. Well, JB, this is all fantastic information. And of course, someone doesn't have to be retiring from the federal government to work with you. All retirees, all future retirees, they're welcome. So where can people go? What should they do if they want to get in touch with you and get those retirement conversations started?
Well, like you said, underneath the link, obviously you can visit right there. You can check us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, but you can also reach out through the website, abishfinancial.com. You can certainly schedule a call with our team, and there's a lot of ways to reach out. We make it really easy, but the website would probably be the first place to go and schedule a call with us.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, JB. And thank you, listeners, for joining us today. Be sure to subscribe, like you said, wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well so you never miss an episode. On behalf of Abish Financial Services, my name is Casey, and we will see you next time on The Retirement Key.